Hi guys, and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to be actually giving a story about two cousins of mine. Both my mom and dad had very large families on both sides. So when that happens, it creates a huge network of cousins. But not all of us were brought up the same. Even though we're first cousins and we're kin, it doesn't play out like the way it should be. For example, my dad and his brothers put in a lot of time with us. They committed a lot of time. And I can never thank him enough for doing that. They would take us everywhere and anywhere. These are the days where you could just ride in the back of a pickup truck and all over the city and just even going to the local corner market. It was a thrill in itself just because we were all together. We're all together. Somebody's gonna be a character. Somebody's gonna be funny. Somebody's gonna cry. Somebody's gonna fall. That's just the way it was. And if you didn't uh, hang with the rest of us, you're gonna get left back, and you were gonna get left back, and you were gonna cry because you weren't able to go. But that's just the way it was. My dad and his brothers weren't gonna deal with any of that nonsense. And so when you mix that with my aunts and their kids, which are still my first cousins, they're brought up very different for the fact that now their dads, which are my dad's brother-in-laws, are raising these actual cousins. And they're raising them different. And you can tell right away, just the difference. And sometimes, it's not for the good. And at family reunions, you can totally tell, even though some were from the same neighborhood, others were not. And not that there was any animosity there or anything like that. It's just we were just raised different and with sometimes with different values, unfortunately. And what they thought was funny, we thought was not. And when we actually got together and mixed it all in, my dad let my older cousins that were from my aunts, plural, let them know, hey, anybody messes, which is me, you're gonna get it. I don't care who does it. Just that's just the way it was. That's just how we were raised in a rough environment when it came down to cousins. And older cousins, not in like the middle cousins, they could be pretty rough, pretty rough to the point where some people draw blood, just by flicks and just by being kids, actually. And unfortunately, at family reunions, it actually got pretty interesting. It actually was actually fun to have the whole mix there, and you you think that it was only once a year. And when we used to be able to have actually reunions. And the funny thing is that um, when I showed up at these reunions, the majority of them did not know that I worked down at the border, that I actually was sorted. They did not know, and that was actually kind of cool because they kept it neutral, and they thought I was still in the army actually and just doing my thing. But that was way back. That was way back before they just kept that in actual as a my career. But unfortunately, to tell the truth, and no matter how you look at it, either by a bullet, by thrown out of a vehicle, by complications of a bullet, complications of just running that life. I stopped counting at six. I lost six cousins, and I stopped counting. You know what I mean? Some are still alive, but they have their issues, and to just street violence, you know what I mean? And not all of them died right there and then, but with complications, being in a wheelchair, just different complications that came upon by uh, by being from a neighborhood, and that's that's just the way it was, and my dad paid attention. My dad paid attention, and he wasn't about to move us out of the neighborhood, but he just kind of kept an eye on us, and actually, one of his godsons was actually at one point he was actually one of the main members of the biggest one in the neighborhood, biggest gang in the neighborhood, and he was my dad's godson, so he wasn't about to let me. He was about 7 years older than me, so he wasn't about to let me get jumped into any of the neighborhood gangs, and he was true to his word. Every time he would see me after school walking home or actually hanging around where I shouldn't be hanging around, he would literally chase me home. And I'm not talking about 2 blocks. He would actually chase me all the way home, screaming at me, yelling at me. I'm gonna tell your dad you're over here doing this, you're over here doing that. And at the time, I really hated it, because I wasn't doing anything that I thought. But just by being there, things can happen, And when the last time I saw my dad's godson was at my dad's funeral, and I didn't say exactly thanks to them, but I just kind of just we knew, I mean, we looked at each other, we just gave each other a hug, and we knew what it was all about. We just walked away, and nothing needed to be said, and basically that's how we left it. So let me set this one up for you guys. 2 cousins, one raised by my dad and his uncles, the other one by my aunts and her husbands. So, make a long story short, my cousins went over to my uncle's house, which is my Nino, went to his house to borrow 20 bucks. We say borrow, but they went to hit him up for 20 bucks to get a little beer and a little sack, And my uncle was much younger than my older uncles and my dad. He was way younger. He's a baby of the family, actually. And he was cool, man. He was solid, man. And he just broke him off 20 bucks. Hey, at least you're not doing anything illegal to get them 20 bucks, All right. So they went to my uncle's, got the 20 bucks. They were there for a few minutes, said hi, were cordial, and they proceeded to take off, and they were going to the liquor store. So now my cousin, the one that's actually from my uncle's side, not my aunt's side, goes to the store, gets some beer. But my other cousin from my aunt's side went over to the counter too and had a few other extra things. And he broke out water, like it wasn't a water, but it was 20 bills, right? $100 to pay for some extra snacks and a little wine. You know what I mean? So my other cousin hits him up, say, "Hey man, what's up with the money, man? I thought we didn't have no money. We were gonna go there to my Theo's house and pick up the 20, And then he just starts laughing. So my cousin keeps it cool, gets back in the car, and boom, busts a U-turn. He went straight to my uncle's house. He didn't say nothing to my other cousin. He was still in the car. Got out. He hit my Theo up and said, "Hey Theo, are you missing $100?" And my uncle was my Nino was actually like, I don't think so. I don't know. Let me go check. And he went to his drawer where his wallet was, and he checked, and yeah, he was missing a $5 bills, $100. Well, they figured out that when my cousin went to use the restrooms, he knew where he put his wallet, and he snuck in there and boom, boom, and did his thing, and shamefully walked out like nothing. And boy, You know, I to tell you the truth, I want to think I would do the actual same thing my cousin did, but you have to put hands on him. You have to put hands on him. You know what I mean? Even to just rough him up. You know, and if he fought back, he'd be in the wrong. You know, but my cousin, which was much bigger than the one that actually stole the money, he kept it solid. He kept it cool. He was more embarrassed than anything for taking that cousin over there. And he put it all on him, you know, he put it on himself. And he said, and he apologized to my Nino and said, hey, you know, here's the money back, what's left of it. You know, he already he has spent like almost $20 on the extra stuff. But it's just, you know, it's one of them things, you know, you just got to think, how would you actually react? So that's just one of my actual stories from my actual upbringing, you know, and we didn't find out this till years later, you know what I mean? It wasn't like the gossip. It wasn't even anything like that. Actually, one of my siblings made a comment to my uncle that he had gone to my aunt's and that cousin, the one that stole the money, was watching the ball game by himself and he was kicking it by himself. That we should invite him over. And my uncle, that's when he broke the story. He goes, "No, what do you want him over here for?" That's when he broke the story to us that how what he did. You know what I mean? How he burned himself like that, and you know, you want to think that it wouldn't happen, but it did, and then you start thinking about other things that happened along your childhood. You know what I mean, about how things were handled, how things came up missing, and you start actually just putting things together, and they actually make sense. You know. All right, guys, this is another story from back in. I'll put it in old Mexico. Okay, don't forget to like and subscribe.